Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to have Annie back. So welcome back, Annie.
Hi, good to be here.
So Annie, can you please tell us your full type once again?
So it's ENFP, MFNEFI, consume, sleep, blast, play.
All right, cool. So it's been, I think, quite a while since our original interview, and I just wanted to ask you, what is your social type?
So I believe it to be a 3. I don't see how it could possibly be anything else just because I feel certain I'm not a 1 or a 4 or a 2. And I had kind of a soft confirmation from Shan. I haven't gone through any official process, but in one of the live calls, I was talking about work stuff and I told her I think I'm a 3, and she said yes, I would agree with that. So kind of a, at least a soft confirmation. I don't see how I could possibly be any other type than 3.
Okay, that's cool. Well, at least you got some confirmation, which is awesome. Let's go over the parts then. What made you narrow it down to three as opposed to the other ones?
Um I mean, it was really just eliminating all the others. I mean, I'm having a hard time. I had a hard time digesting it, and then more recently, it has settled. Especially when Dave is talking about the 3s and the 4s not having a scam, and for me as a self-employed person, the not having a scam is actually a problem. I need to be more scammy than I am. That's the problem that I keep running into in all of my ventures. So that fits. I do see a little bit of flex, but the flex is always around what I'm capable of making, like what I did. Like, look what I did in my business, or look what I made. I'm an artist. Like I wore my shirt today that I made. So that's a bit of a flex, wearing something that I made. That's what I feel comfortable flexing about is, what I've accomplished in work, my specialty. Yeah.
Do you still work as a massage therapist?
I do. Yeah, I do barefoot massage, which is even more specialized. It's not just massage. A lot of massage therapists, you'll look at their websites and it's like, I do everything. They'll have 20 modalities listed. I massage people with my feet, which is like, even more specific. So that's what I
Oh,
do.
just your feet. That's it. Like you don't do it anything else. You don't do
Well,
the
I
standard stuff.
mean, I may use my hands a little like on the neck, but it's like using the foot, the big toe on the traps and the hands at the same time. So yeah, I'm like up on the table, sort of skating and dancing on people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You are definitely specialized. I mean, that it doesn't get more specialized than that. And you've been doing it for a long time as well?
18 years.
Yeah. Okay. You have all the check marks of specialization right there. So with specialization, that means that this is the area that you have the most expertise in. How would you say in terms of, specialization, the responsibility you feel when it comes to honing your craft in this one niche area?
Um, Honestly, I'm more excited about honing the craft of professionalism, the one-on-one, the energy that I have with people. I can also really geek out about anatomy and physiology, and it feels good to know all that stuff in sort of a nerdy way, to understand injuries and how people's bodies work, and learning more and more skills in terms of ashiatsu. That's what it's called, the thing that I do with my feet. That's fun, but overall it's like building a professional presence has been the more interesting thing to me. Learning how to be professional, be organized, and interact with people, make them feel comfortable, that sort of thing.
Gotcha. I see. So it's in the customer service aspect that you are honing in your craft essentially. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say I have excellent customer service. Like I also do Etsy, and I have, it's all like 5 stars. I don't get a lot of low reviews. My response times are really, I feel like I'm really good at customer service. Yeah.
oh, I see. Gotcha. So for Etsy then and doing your art,
Mhm.
Would the specialization in that area be then on the art itself or the customer service or everything that comes
It's
along?
really more on the art because honestly, I have a lot of unlisted items because I'm obsessively in my free time when I'm not massaging, I'll obsessively make art for hours and hours a day. You know, I could do it for 10 hours a day. And I enjoy making this stuff more than product photography is not fun. Listing items on Etsy is not fun. And marketing is definitely not fun. Like having the Instagram page and all that stuff for the art, I'm pretty much not doing it right now, and I should be. So consistency in those areas is hard. But in terms of customer service, I like it. You know, when I get messages and I can respond appropriately in a friendly manner, I'm like, oh, you know, this is good. I'm good at this. So
Would you say that's also from your double deciding? Like you like people and stuff, and it's
mm,
going to balance, the tribe itself, kind of, even though you're play last.
yeah, and I think it's also just something, you know, it's probably like more, it's probably a hero's journey too, like something that I've cultivated over time. Because I could see myself maybe 20 years ago being more annoyed by customers. You know, prior to being a massage therapist, I was a self-employed house cleaner. I was good at doing that. But before that, I worked in an art store in retail. And I really liked helping people solve their problems. Like someone comes in, they're working on a project and they need to know like the right product to buy to finish their art project. And I really liked helping them find the right product, but I could, just like anyone else in retail, be kind of annoyed by clients or customers, you know, people asking dumb questions or whatever. But you know, over the years, you just get better and better at it. You get better at talking to people, helping them understand, leading them through the process. And, you know, there really are no dumb questions. Sometimes people, when they're going online to book an appointment with me, they get confused by the technology because it's, you know, a new format, new website, whatever. And I feel like I'm more understanding, you know, and like helping them through that process because I run into those things too. You know, I could be really good at booking on one website and then you go to a different one and everything looks different, all the observer stuff, and you freak out and you can't figure it out, you know. So
I see. I guess you relate to the things freak out because you're still at the end of the day an observer. So
for
if
sure.
other
Yeah.
observers are freaking out, you're like, oh, I totally get you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So David Shan said on one of their recent videos that even though the specialists don't have a scam, the fact that they really care about their craft is
Mhm.
pretty much the only marketing they need because eventually people do recognize that and they do get ahead of a lot of ones and twos who do run a scam. I don't like the word scam though. I think it's more like a gimmick. They have a gimmick, like ones and twos have a gimmick, and they
Mhm.
know what they're doing is business. It's not like a craft per se. I mean, some of them do obviously, but
Mhm.
there's also a big percentage that it's just a gimmick, right? So well, for you, it's not a gimmick. It's actually like a passion that you're pursuing and you're all in. That's why you're ignoring everything else.
Mhm.
Because you want to make sure that that one thing is taken care of and you really care about that and you don't care about the other stuff, right? Um,
Mhm.
so would you say that, because you've been doing art for a long time and you've been doing the massage thing for a long time, that the longer you do it, the more kind of not free exposure, but like y the marketing that you have to do has been a lot less than uh you would have to do if you didn't have like the, let's say, word of mouth referrals from the massage or um the 5-star ratings from the art. Would you say
Mhm.
your work speaks for itself, kind of deal?
Well, yeah, in my art, so I make these ceramic earrings and they're they're just there's nothing else like it. I mean, no other ceramic earrings look like that. And other people who do ceramics are often baffled, like, how did you do that? It actually took me a really long time to develop the technique and solve all the problems. So in terms of that on Etsy, nobody can, you know, there's this whole thing on Etsy where people will take screenshots of your shop and copy your work and sell it as their own, and then they put a claim against you that you are copying them. So they basically just like steal your whole, nobody can steal this because they wouldn't be able to do this. So that, you know, that's safe. That is kind of a form of marketing in itself. And then with the massage, my biggest strong suit is that there's not very many people that practice ashiatsu. And so it's just a Google ranking thing. Anyone who searches ashiatsu, I'm going to come up in the top. You know, there's only like 3 of us that show up on Google. And so I get new clients all the time. And I think that I also live in an extremely saturated area. So if I was trying to rank on Google just for massage, I'd be completely lost. Ashiatsu makes me stand out. But also with massage, it's very individual. Like there are people who are going to like me. They're going to like my superpowers as a massage therapist, but someone else might not. And it is really saturated. So, I mean, it's not the easiest way to make money in the town that I'm in, but I think that I've developed a lot of professionalism in terms of like making people feel comfortable, being super organized, you know, having all my systems streamlined. And the people who appreciate that really, really appreciate that. And that's why they come back. And there is some word of mouth. Other than that, I'm not really trying. I'm not doing much marketing at all.
Yeah, that sounds awesome because it seems like by just being hyper niche with your
Mhm.
specialization, you stand out just because not many people are doing it. So that's super
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Now I want to ask you about the flex stuff. I remember a long time in the Facebook groups, you posted this video of you. I don't know what you had on your feet, but you were bouncing up and down.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and I was like, what the hell is this? And then
Yeah.
and then I don't know what like rollerblades or something, but I don't know what it was, but
Yeah.
like I don't know, some exercise stuff. And then I was like, now I was thinking about it, and then I was like, I think that's flex because like
Yeah.
it's very like quirky and very like odd. Like
Uh-huh.
it's not like something you see people doing for like an exercise. You know, usually people go jogging or go to the gym or something, and you're like bouncing up and down in this thing. Um, so the way I see flex is either it's someone that wants to again going back to FI and TI. So TI is more like, you know, win, achieve, crush. I'm better than you. I'm smarter than you. Well, FI, it's not always the case. Obviously, I'm just obviously just over simplifying things. But a lot of people with FI that are DI, they want to be different, unique, you know,
Mm.
stand out. So there's like a uniqueness versus, you know,
Mm.
crushing someone else or beating someone else. So I feel like for your flex and the way you try to do that flex is it's not from being competitive, but it's from being different. Would you say that's true for you?
Yeah, in terms of competitiveness, it's really just with myself, with my own personal best. In the case of that video, those boots are fantastic. They're called Kangoo boots, or you know, there's different companies make them, but it's like basically wearing a kind of a spring on your foot so you can jump up and down and dance around. And when I jump with those boots over in the parking lot near my house, people literally like stop their car and turn around into the parking lot and stare at me. And I mean, it makes me a little bit self-conscious, but at the same time, I'm really thinking like this is such a super cool thing. And how good is it for people to see like someone in their 40s being joyful and getting exercise? It's like I really wanted to share like what that video was about, was that exercise is amazing. It feels good to feel good, and it can be joyful and fun. It doesn't have to be something that you resist. And yeah, those boots are really, really fun. And I think that was one of the things that Dave and Shan said in some video about flex is not being afraid to stand out. And then it kind of clicked with me more because I don't feel like I'm really super showboating all the time. I don't think I'm the best. I'm not super competitive, but at the same time, I am not afraid to stand out. And I don't know that I'm specifically trying to be unique or different or weird, but I just kind of am. Like my life choices have always been slightly offbeat.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's cool. You got that feedback from them because that's definitely something that I have a demon in is the flex. Because like I remember I sent them an email about my social type, and the answer I got was like, we don't know if you're a 4 or 2. You're one of them. So I'm like, okay, well that confirms at least half of the social type.
Yeah.
And then when you were talking about like bouncing up and down and people were driving and looking at you, and yes, you got a little bit self-conscious, but at the same time, you weren't afraid to stand out. I
Yeah.
was like, man, that is something that I was really afraid of. And even right now, I get apprehensive when I stand out too much. But
Mm.
I don't think my flex is missing. I think I'm a number two because I do think I do flex. It's just like I don't do it like in a savior state like you guys do. I do it in a demon state. So if someone gets me to do a public speaking and I have the permission from the tribe since I'm tribe above self, then
Mhm.
I don't mind flexing and going out there on the stage and being all showboaty. But I need to have the tribe permission first. And then also, for example, I teach spin, like I'm a spin instructor. I don't know if they ever
Mhm.
taken a spin class, but like yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of like my area where I can flex, where like this is my thing and this is my show. And also like an SF obviously outlet. Um I have a travel blog too, and it has my name in it. So I think I have a demon flex. I don't think I'm flex last. So I feel like I'm a two. But hearing you talk about your specialization, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm not doing the scam thing per se, but I do have gimmicks that I do. So it's like maybe I should just do what you are doing and really hone in the craft as opposed to having like a gimmick, because
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Well, but your play is great. So that's what I'm so you're getting all these people to come on your show and you're just sort of going into the comments every time someone has a new type, like, hey, you want to come on my show? And they say yes. And I've tried doing that on my channel. I wanted to, talk about tidal wave stuff. Does anyone want to talk to me about this? And I was asking Rose about it because she had people coming on interviews about relationship. And I said, do you think people would do this? And she said, oh, absolutely. People love talking about themselves. They're going to say yes. But like I've asked people and it's like crickets. Nobody wants to do an interview with me. And then I feel sort of like it's kind of that 3 and 4 thing. I'm like, well, they said no, they don't want to do it, they're not interested. But you would not take no for an answer. You just keep asking, keep asking, where I'll ask like 3 times and I'll be like, well, I guess they don't want to do it. you know
How much so let me ask you, because I'm curious what your process is, since I'm an NT nerd. When you're asking people to come into your interview, how many people are you asking?
Not enough. See, that's where I freak out about marketing, because I've done some different marketing classes for massage and then also for coaching stuff. And it's just like a numbers game. Like all the coaches have said, you have to be relentless. Like you can't just ask 10 people, you have to ask 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel uncomfortable because I feel like it's annoying. And I see when other people are doing it, like I don't think it's annoying when you're doing it in our community. It makes sense. But like coaches online, you can tell what they're doing. They post something like, what's your biggest problem with XYZ? And then, the person comments and then they immediately like friend request them, DM them. And it's just like thousands of messages a day. And it feels obnoxious. Like if I don't want to annoy people, you know?
I think for me, I have a genuine like I'm very goal oriented. So I have a genuine interest in building like a massive library of interviews of all the different types so that people have a resource that they can use to um either see if they haven't been typed before, they can kind of check and see, it's like, okay, which person do I relate to the most? Secondly is if people have been typed, they can watch the people that they are closely similar to a type 2 or exact type twin, and they can see how that person is also struggling. And when someone has the same struggles as you don't feel alone anymore, right? So I think having that genuine interest definitely helps. And then what was that other thing that I was, oh yeah, I there's like something in the back of my mind that I wanted to interview every single type, so it's like an EP thing. So I think focusing on the goal at hand as opposed to like, are you being a nuisance to other people, I think definitely helps. And
Yeah.
it's not like I like to bother people. Like I do know messaging random strangers can be cringy and weird, especially if like you don't know who I am. But that's how I met my girlfriend. Like I did the cold approach pickup thing because like before I kept getting friend zoned by people that like I was interested in. So like when I did that, like I started like just asking girls out, and um eventually I met my girlfriend, and we've been together
Mhm.
for 10 years.
Yeah.
So having that track record, the SI track record of like asking people and being perceived as annoying or a nuisance, to me it's like all you need is one person to say yes, and all those
Yeah.
times you felt like you were being a nuisance goes away. And it's not like those people who you bothered, quote unquote,
Yeah. Yeah.
ever
They
they
probably
won't,
weren't
they won't even
well.
remember who you
Yeah.
are, right?
Yeah.
So with that, and even for business too, like a long time ago I started like I go to people's house as a personal trainer, and my gimmick was, I mean, back to the gimmick, right? That's why I knew I was a two, because I had a gimmick. So my gimmick was I train couples, and my gimmick was, instead of wasting time watching TV together, you can spend quality time working out together. So
Yeah.
that was my gimmick, right? And then I had like a bunch of couples like sign up and stuff, and I had a good pricing point too. I think I was charging $50 per session or something, and I said it's only $25 per person per session. Isn't that a cheap way to get access to a personal trainer? So like a lot of people like got on board, right? And then but man, like that didn't end well, because like a lot of the couples, once they got comfortable with me, they would start fighting in front of me. And, and then they were like be pointing at each other. And then I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm here to train you guys to work out. I'm not your therapist. So this is not a couples therapy. So anyways, back to the topic at hand. So that's why I was asking you, how many people were you asking to come to your channel for the interview? Like, did you like so you
Yeah.
asked one person and there's radio silence. Did you only ask that one person in that day?
No, it just wasn't enough, but like I've seen this in different things. And it was also because like you're asking people for interviews about type. And I think I was asking people, sorry, I just like had a coughing fit because I'm a bit sick.
Yeah.
But like I was asking people like, do you want to come on and talk about tidal waves? Like, do you want to talk about something like really painful that happened to you? Because I'm more interested in like the growth stuff and the real issues that people run into. So that could have been part of it. Like people don't want to come on and do an interview about something that they feel vulnerable about, but it was also that I didn't ask enough people. But I also talked to another coach, and this was about like massage marketing stuff, and I was talking about my email marketing, and I'll only send out those messages to my massage clients once a month, and I'll only get like maybe 2 bookings from it. And so I was talking to a coach about it, and he was like, well, if you get 2 bookings and you're sending them out once a month, he said, you should be sending them out twice a week. People love email. And I'm like, people do not love getting emails. No, they don't. And I just feel like it's the same 2 people every time that take the discount. So I'm just going to be like annoying the heck out of them. So I don't know. Yeah. But in the case of the interviews, I did not ask enough people. So that would be a thing where, I might reapproach. I was really consistent with my channel for like 3 or 4 years. And then I haven't posted in like 8 weeks. I mean, I was so consistent like every Friday. And then I got really busy with massage clients this summer. And I just kind of like stopped doing it. But yeah, I mean, it's something like if I reapproach that, I will do a better job with the play and like just asking until I get a few yeses.
I feel like those people that spam people with their emails are like Zoom last blasters. I feel like that's like a tactic that they use. They just keep attacking,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I think yes, you do get sales from doing that, but you also piss people off. So I think in the long run, you're hurting your brand. And I think that's a problem with the consume last method, is like you haven't developed your product enough that you don't need to spam people. Because if you have to
Yeah.
spam people to sell your stuff, like does that mean your product is, it doesn't have enough word of mouth traction enough to actually just get it organically. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
The once a month emailing thing, I think that's good. I get because I have a travel blog, right? And then I have a email newsletter that I send out. And my email newsletter, I actually have a really good track record of people staying in my newsletter for a long time. And I've practiced it long enough to know that the sweet spot was once a month or twice a
Yeah.
month, twice a month. Sorry. I'm only doing it once a month because I'm focusing on the personality stuff right now. But I remember when I tried doing the once a day thing and people got pissed off. So many people unsubscribed. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, but then like, even with like marketing and stuff, like when I had a membership site for my travel stuff, I, literally like I only send emails for promotions on Black Friday and also on in Canada we have something called Boxing Day on December 26th. So I literally
Yeah.
only send promotions twice a year. And so I felt like that was good enough in terms of like not annoying people and stuff. But like, Black Friday, everyone expects to get something. So like no one ever got mad. I sent something on Black Friday.
Yeah.
And I actually got a lot of sales from Black Friday. So I thought it was like it's always good to do a Black
Yeah,
Friday.
I just sent one out this morning because I was sick all week. This is the first time I've been sick
Yeah.
since 2016. I just don't get sick. And I was starting to get kind of cocky about it. Like I thought, oh, I don't get sick. This can't happen to me. And then I
You
just
got
got
it.
scammed. So I was flexing about never getting sick. And yeah, I haven't worked, I haven't made any money for like 8 days. And so I just sent mine out and I'm like, I'm hoping during this meeting, afterwards I'll look at my email and see that I made some sales.
Sweet. So the Black Friday thing panned out then?
Well, I don't know. I hope so. I'm waiting.
Okay.
Yeah, I just sent it out this morning. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you don't mind, I'll tell you a gimmick for Black Fridays. This is a good one.
Uh-huh.
My friend told me about this. I have an INTJ friend who's helping me with my YouTube stuff actually. He wants me to do really well also because he personally has like he's so good. He has like he made 2 videos and the 2 videos got him 20,000 subscribers. Just 2 videos.
Mhm.
This guy he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's like you, he's like a play last or not, yeah, play last version also of like an observer. I
Mhm.
think he's trouble himself though. I think he's like a Tim Ferriss. But like anyway, so I think what he said to me was like, if you're doing like email newsletter, you have to send 3 emails. One
Mhm.
initial email, and then one email on the last day of your promotion. So Cyber Monday is the best time to do it. So one on Black Friday, one on the morning of Cyber Monday, and then another one 4 hours before Cyber Monday ends.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to do it in 3 staggers, and that works. I was like, oh my god, like especially the third email, I got like all this like last minute sales.
Yeah.
And what else did he say to me? Oh, he said that you should always offer something that people can't resist. So when you're doing an email news, like email sales, he said to me, always have two tiers, and one
Mhm.
tier, let's say it costs $30, and the second one, let's say it costs $35. This is an example. You can put any price point you want. And then the one that costs $35 has so much more benefits. So people would buy the second one as opposed to
Yeah.
this one. So that's like the gimmick he told me. And I like when I was doing the travel stuff, I used to like do that kind of email. And I was like blown away how like effective it was. So but I think ultimately though, for me, when I was doing the email newsletter, like I was doing monthly email newsletters. Um I felt like newsletters that are high value, where like you put a lot of content into the newsletter, is good sales on itself. So I think you don't have to be like scammy as like
Mhm.
a lot of like I feel like the scammy ones are like the ones and twos consume last blasters. And like and I feel like if they're doing it because their product doesn't speak for itself. So you have to like go through this gimmick to convince people to buy your stuff.
Yeah.
Like um anyways, getting off tangent here, obviously being EP here. I want to ask you about your demon friends next. So that's your third one. You have demon friends. What is friendship like for you? You know, having a third, because it's not missing, but it's third. It's a demon still.
Yeah, I don't have friends in the way that other people, like if you looked at my life you'd say like no, you don't have any friends. Um I don't go and hang out with people. Like my mom and my sister and her my niece and nephew live here, and so I have some extended family. We get together once a month for family dinner. I live with my partner, he's my friend. Um I have 2 dogs, they are my friends. But then other than that, it's like people that live elsewhere. Like I don't get together and like have coffee with anyone. I met Jessica Vischer through the community, and I talked to her on Marco Polo like once or twice a week. consistently. So she's probably, you know, she's the person that I'm like the most open with. Like, I feel like I can tell her anything. And then, you know, I have some old childhood friends that I'm sort of loosely in contact with. But that's it. I just don't socialize. I don't even like go places. Like my car battery, for example, dies all the time. I have a trickle charger because I don't ever go anywhere. I don't drive enough to charge my battery. I just am at home all the time.
When you were in elementary school and high school, did you have friends that you hanged out with, like in school and stuff? Because you know that's like kind of like what kids did back in, you know. Did you have like a gang of friends?
No, I had individual, like I had one best friend in grade school, and then in middle school, one best friend. And then high school was a bit different. I was definitely so it was a really tight-knit school in Sedona, and it was a boarding school. I was a day student. I lived off campus, but it was so tight-knit that I would say, yeah, I had friends, but I was still viewed as the unapproachable one. Like what I've heard from high school friends since, you know, I've reconnected with them on MySpace first and then on Facebook, is that they really wanted to get to know me better, but I seemed unapproachable. Like I seemed like I, you know, I'm just in this consume sleep world, quiet, and I look really pensive, and I'm, you know, playing music on the quad, or like writing in a journal or something, and I just seemed unapproachable. So
I
I
think
I was
this
I
before.
was a loner. Yeah, I was a loner in high school. I was like doing art quietly by myself. Yeah.
Did you Was that on by design that did you want that, or did you want to have a big gang of friends if you could?
I think so. No, I think it was like it was this sort of so when you're in high school, you're at a developmental age where you should be socializing. So there is a need for that. I mean, really, and through your 20s, um, when you're, you know, when you're dating, you need to be socializing because you need to find a partner, you know? So it was a developmental age where I felt that urge and that pressure. And I would be kind of like pretend suffering that like, oh, I'm not part of the in crowd, I'm not part of a group. But then I would really just like push it away because I'm like, yeah, I really wanted to be alone making art all by myself. So it was this sort of like, I want to be included, but like I really kind of didn't, you know, like it really just isn't me. But I would sort of get in these moods where I would like kind of be upset about it, but it was sort of like a fake suffering
I
kind
see.
of, just like
That's
a,
funny.
you know, like a masculine FI kind of brooding
I
about
see.
it.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Man, our life is so different. Like when I was in elementary, I had like, you know, I had a few friends, but when I was in high school, I had a massive gang of friends. Like I
Mhm.
took this does not sound really funny. So I knew I was a nerd loser when I was in high school. So what I did was I took every single nerd loser in like
Mhm.
the yard, and we made like a giant nerd loser group. And it was like a massive, it's a
Yeah.
massive group of all the nerd losers together. And then
Yeah,
when you
that would always be overwhelming for me. And I always wanted to make a connection one-on-one, you know, just one person and get to know them. The other thing that I really noticed about myself in high school, and I notice it now, even in the objective personality group, is that I'm kind of like off to the distance, but like I'm watching y'all and I really, really care about you. Like I have really strong attachments to certain people in the community. And it was the same in the high school. Like I would sort of know them just through observation. Like, oh, Katie looks really sad this week. You know, I would notice and I would really, really care, but I just wasn't personally connected. I couldn't call myself a friend. You know, it's just a weird dynamic that I notice about myself.
I think one of my sisters is a 3. I think she's an ENFJ though, and that the thing that you just described is what happens to her. Like
Mhm.
she genuinely cares, but she doesn't approach it
Mhm.
in that sense where like she's kind of like she cares from like a distance kind of deal.
Yeah.
So I've seen the stuff that you've described. But I think there's like a misconception that if you have a big group of friends, you can't know people at a deeper level, because I know all my friends at a deep level because we do hang out in a big group. But I also, like, I remember when I was younger, I used to call everyone. Like, I was such a huge double activated play person. School's finished, I go home. First thing I do, I pick up my phone, I call my friend, and we chat for like 3 hours on the phone. Like different types too, like ISTP. Like one of my friends was an ISTP. We talk on the phone for 3 hours at a time. Imagine that 3 hours like every day talking on the phone with friends, like bunch of dudes talking on the phone for 3 hours. And I'll call all of them. Like even my friend who's like a mope. I have a friend who's like a consume sleep play blast. He's like blast last. I'll call him and talk to him for like an hour on the phone. And he's like, I never talk to people this much because he's obviously blast last, right? So it's like I think what I learned is like people do want to chat, especially if you're like genuinely interested in what you have to say and stuff. And I was just like actually interested in my friend and like chat with them and stuff. So like I'm almost 40 now, and I have most of my high school friends are still my friends. And we've had falling outs in and out, but ultimately we've rekindled those friendship over time. Because Dave and Chan always talk about like, as you get older, you do this like running away from your tribe kind of thing. And like, I mean, I guess for you, you've just done it like your whole life. But
Yeah.
but like for me personally, I've ran away like 3 times already, where like I either traveled the world for 1 year solo, um, I just disappeared and moved out and away from everyone to go on my own journey and stuff. So I've done this like a few times already, but like but for you who's been consistent, maybe the opposite of that is like you jump into the tribe all in and then see what that experience is like, really developing friendship within a community and seeing like the beauty of that. Because I really, honestly, I don't say this as an insult, but I feel like people who are like demon friends, you guys are missing out. It's such like I feel like my life is so rich when
Mhm.
I'm with like really close friends that I've built up friendship for so long. Like I've known for like 20 plus years. Like the friendship it just feels so rich. Like people like would message you, for example. Like it's my birthday. Like I have a friend. She's one of my best female friend. She'll message me. It's like, hey Kendrick. It's like, hey Kendrick, don't you have like something special going on usually this time of the year? You know? Or it's like, hey, happy birthday or something. Like it just feels nice, right? Like people like reaching out to you
Yeah.
and stuff because you built up those friendship and stuff. So anyways, I just feel like you guys are missing out, especially for like an EP. Like you don't know what you're
Yeah.
missing out. It's beautiful, like having that
Well,
rich community.
yeah, and so before I came across OPS, before I knew what the word was for play last, I did identify that there was something weird about me with socializing, and that it would be important to exercise the opposite tendency. And so I sort of pushed myself in that direction before I even came to OPS, when I joined a running group. And I found some things that I liked about it and some things that I didn't. Ultimately, like, I get it that it feels good to be in a group and do those things, but that does also take time away from being alone specializing. So it's sort of like a plus and minus. But what I learned about that experiment is that I find it easier to socialize when with groups, when it's like a group meetup or something, and there's going to be a whole lot of people there. So if any one person doesn't show up because they forgot, or if they're 20 minutes late, it won't trigger my masculine SI. And so like I'm adding myself to the group of people. Some people are going to show up, some people aren't, but it's happening at 10 a.m. no matter what. That makes me feel more comfortable, because if I were to make a coffee date with someone and then they flaked on me, it just really, really hurts. And it's not in a personally offended way, but in a masculine SI way. Like, time is solid. We had this appointment at 9 and you're not here, or, you're 40 minutes late, or you're stringing me along, texting saying like, I'm going to be a little bit late. And then text me 20 minutes later, like, oh, I'm going to be even more late, and then you just get like strung along. It's this thing about like, time is really solid. We had this appointment, you're not here. And so if I put myself out on a limb and try to socialize with someone, and then it's someone who's flaky, it just makes me never want to do it again. You know, it just scares me off every time.
During the pandemic, that whole flaky thing that came back to me because like I did notice I have a bunch of friends that do the annoying flaky thing, and again, masculine SI gets triggered by that, right? So, oh my god, I feel like a jerk for doing this, but I exiled a lot of my friends, and they weren't allowed to come back until they learn how to communicate if they're not going
Yeah.
to show up. Like we had this one friend, he's an ISTP, and he just flakes if he sees something better coming up because he's in DI, he'll
Uh,
flake. So I'm like, okay, I know OPS. So what's the sphere of ISTP? Oh, tribe hate, FE, right?
uh,
So so I got me and my friends to join forces to um exile him unless
yeah.
he sent us like a letter of apology.
Mhm.
And he wouldn't, right? Because obviously he's TI, he thinks he's right.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, then you're gonna be out. You no more. You can't play video games with us anymore. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then when we say we can't play video games with us anymore, that's like the FE getting triggered. It's like, oh shit, like he knows because he makes a lot of money, right? It's like he knows he can buy anything, but he can't buy friendship.
Yeah.
So he sent us like an apology rap video, which was the best. He's like rapping, and then we obviously we took him in. He's never once if he had to cancel, he's always giving us 24 hours in advance notice now. So it's been good. So it's like knowing people's type. Like I mean, I also exiled another friend who's an ICJ, but he also exiled me, so we exiled each other, and
Yeah.
we both felt horrible about it. And then a year later, we kind of like got back together. I invited him to my birthday. He was like really nervous to see me, and then
Mhm.
we're friends again. But ever since then, he's like he communicates ahead of time now to cancel something. So um, I have the same issue with my sister too, always flaking and stuff. So the flaking thing, I think you have to you need to strive against those people who flake a lot. And by the way, I also flake a lot when I was young because I'm on EP. So I also flake. But I realized I think in my late 20s, like, oh, this is bad. Being flake is horrible. Like you're a horrible friend by flaking. So I stopped doing it. I always give people a heads up if I have to flake. Or at the very least I show up. I'll be like, okay, I'll come. If let's say I don't want to go to an event, but I want to be a good friend. So I'll tell them, oh, I can only come for 2 hours. And then usually that's good enough. At least you made an effort, and that effort counts for everything. But I want to touch on something that we talked about earlier also is like so your play last, right, in Demon Friends. Um in the personality space, I think one of the things that is oftentimes pushed as something that's really good is being deep, having deep feelings, deep emotions, deep thoughts, and having like depth, right? So you're not shallow, essentially, right? But I think what's not being covered enough is the purest form of extroversion. Um, Owen Cook is one person that Dave and Shan always say is one of their like heroes, and like they say as like the one of the go-to ENFPs. And his channels for dating, right? But he's obviously moved on to personal development now as well. And I think what he teaches is the purest form of extroversion because when you are at the purest form of extroversion, you stop having thoughts of self-consciousness. Um, what's the other word I'm looking for here? Insecurities, because you're just present and you're free to just say whatever you want, do whatever you want, and enjoy the company of your friends and family and the people. And it's really hard to get at that point. I've only experienced it a few times, but I remember when I did experience it, it was like such an extreme high that I was like, I wish this was always present because obviously, insecurities and all that stuff always creeps up, right? Or awkwardness. So, and I think from what he said, Owen Cook, you can only achieve it through micro momentum. And like, it's like a mix of a bunch of stuff. It's like micro momentum, meaning you talk to one person, then the next person, the next person. So it's like never stopping to extrovert. That's the first aspect of it. The second aspect of it is self acceptance. And the self acceptance is I am feeling awkward and I'm cool with that. You
Mhm.
know, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I feel bad. I feel horrible right now. Let's say you've been working the whole day, you know, let's say we're using Ian as an ENFP as an example. Let's say we got trouble with our taxes, or like some other SI issue that happened. It's like, and then now you have to go socialize after. You don't feel good, right? It's like being okay with like being in a negative state and then still socializing. And then when you're like talking to people, you're like not trying to be positive. It's just being like, feel like shit today. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I am. I mean, I don't yeah, I feel comfortable with that. And then also I guess it was like a long time ago when I was a child that I noticed like I'm kind of weird. I'm kind of socially awkward, but I'm sort of okay with it. Like I've done a lot of performing. I haven't performed music in many years, but I used to do it a lot. And I really had like no stage fright at all because I'm like, oh, I know I'm kind of weird, and it's okay. Like this is a high a high energy moment. It's totally normal to feel a little weird. Like, I mean, I played in a room with Jackson Brown in it before, and I was just like, no stage fright at all. So there's that. And then also in social situations, like I know I'm kind of weird, and it's totally fine.
All
And
right.
it's also just more real. Like when my clients show up, like maybe I've never even met them before, I've just noticed that I have a tendency to just speak to them as if it's somebody that I've already met 100 times. Like, oh, hey, how you doing? Like, wow, that's a really cool shirt. Like, not because I'm trying to think of a compliment to say, just because like, oh, wow, you have, it's usually an observer thing. Like, oh, wow, you have this, what's on your shirt? And then just talk about it like as if I've already met them. And that's just kind of how I am. And I'm not afraid to just say like, oh, I'm in a bad mood. I was just like doing a bunch of paperwork and it was hard, or anything.
I think that's cool that you DIs have that naturally tendency to be cool with like just who you are. Because like for me, who doesn't have that naturally, I feel like when I heard Owen Cook say that, I was like, oh my god, this is gold. Because like that's not my normal thought process. Obviously now I've been practicing it, but it's like it wasn't my normal thought process. But it's kind of cool where it's like two sides of kind of like you need to combine two different concepts together for it to work really well. So one is kind of like what you're doing, like you're a little bit weird, but whatever, who cares, right? It is, and then no stage fright. But like the other aspect is like the micro momentum where like you do go out of your way to talk to people. The action of actually like initiating conversation with people. I think that would be
Yeah.
hard for you being play last. And also demon friends. So I think like if like together, that's where like the magic happens, if you
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like it's not hard for me when I actually go out and do it. I just don't go out and do it. Like when I was doing the running group, I would just show up and be like, "Hey, I'm Annie. Who are you?" And I don't know. Because I am very curious. I want to hear about people, and in massage, not everybody talks, but some people do. And I love getting, a few appointments a week where people are talking, and I just have like the best conversations, and it's so interesting to hear different perspectives from people. And I feel like I always have another question that I want to ask, because I want to dig deeper into who they are and what they're about. Yeah.
Since we're in this topic, let's talk about your journey then. Working your NT double feminine play last since our original interview. Have you
Yeah.
seen any growth in that area for you personally? And what has your practice been like in that area?
I mean, I feel like I was kind of practicing it before OPS, and I did the whole running group for a couple years, and I kind of decided that it was okay, but I didn't love it just because it was at a specific time. It was like 9 a.m. on a Saturday, and I wake up at like 4:30. And so like for me, I could already like run 10 miles by 8 a.m. So like, I don't know, waiting for it to be 9 o'clock to meet with the group, it was just kind of a burden. And um, I don't know. I liked it. I just didn't, and I'm glad I did it. I just didn't like it enough. But in terms of, okay, so I guess a really difficult thing about play is the flexibility. It's being really, rigid. And that kind of has to do with masculine SI being really rigid about time. But OPS has gotten in my head so much that the tendency is to think like, if I feel triggered by something like that, to think like, oh, I'm being inflexible, I need to be more flexible. But what I run into is like, wait a minute, do I need to be more flexible right now? Or is this a legitimate boundary? Because it's like also okay to have boundaries. I hear about people having like the year of yes, where they say yes to absolutely everything. And I'm like, hell no. Because you have boundaries. Like it's also like I could say yes more and be flexible more, but I also have boundaries that are perfectly good boundaries and need to be upheld. And so that's been kind of a point of tension. I think that in terms of the flexibility, I have been a little bit more flexible and more understanding and less triggered. But at the same time, I've created all this really intense SI and systems that makes everything flow better. So like if you miss an appointment with me, you've gotten so many reminders and instructions that something's up. Like, maybe you're dead because you crashed on the way or something, because there's no way you didn't get the message
Right.
that we are meeting at 3 o'clock today. And so when people have they have really legitimate reasons to miss an appointment, and I'm totally flexible and cool with that. But when someone is like flaking over and over again, then I'm like, no, this is a chaos monkey, and they don't deserve my time anymore. So I will cut people off, if they violate that boundary over and over again. So I guess it's like the flexibility thing, the saying yes more. What's funny? So 2 days ago, you asked me if I want to do this interview, and you were like, do you want to do it at 11? And I was almost laughed. I was like, dude, I'm play last. Like, of course I'm not going to jump on a call with you right now. Like same day. Like you're asking me like an hour before. But then I really did take a minute to think about it. And I thought, well, no way, I could just jump on a call right now. But the real issue was that I'm sick. And I was like, oh, I don't want to cough. I don't want to sound terrible. But the ironic thing is I feel like worse today. So I should have done it when you asked. I should have just done the play first thing and just said yes, because last night I was freaking out because I'm like drowning in snot. My voice sounds like I've been smoking for 30 years. I'm like, afraid I'm going to cough. And so I was really nervous about how am I going to feel tomorrow morning? But yeah, I woke up today, I jumped on my trampoline and did a whole bunch of stuff to I did the salt water in my nose, to get ready for this appointment. So, but I should have said yes the first time when you asked. I could have just brushed my hair, cleaned myself up and been ready, and we could have done it, 2 days ago.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because I remember long time ago, I had someone flake in one of my interview, and I was like, ah, shit, it's so annoying. It's so rude too when people flake. So I messaged Raja. He's not a comedian anymore, but I remember I messaged him, and then it's like, hey man, do you want to do an interview right now? He's like, okay, and it comes in, and then I was like, sweet, my time. I filled the slot that would have otherwise been vacant, because the person didn't show up, and then I was like, oh god, it's so good to have double activated play friends to come and do an interview, and because they'll just show up and stuff, and it is it's really nice to be spontaneous too, it's just there's something fun about just let's do it now. It's like, okay, but anyways, back to the flexibility thing, I feel like the sweet spot for that is to giving someone two time slots to choose from. But they're actually time slots that work for you.
Yeah.
So it's like the person feels like they're in control, but it's actually it's based on your schedule, right? So
yeah, I like that. I remember having a really bad experience though one time when somebody was, this was early in my massage career, somebody called and said, can I get an appointment today? And I'm like, well, I don't really do that, but yeah, okay, but I need time to eat. So give me some time between appointments. I will be ready for you at 1 o'clock. And they showed up at 12:30. They totally heard what I said, that I had needs that I needed to eat. They didn't care, And so I just kind of got this impression, and it created a scar on me that people who are, asking for same day appointments, they also they want it now, no matter what. They don't really care if I need to eat or use the bathroom or anything like that. So I don't know. I just thought okay, so I guess I sort of profiled the type of person that behaves in that way, and have tried to avoid those people. But Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Like now, that's one of the things that I've developed with my professionalism. When people ask me questions like that, I've heard all these questions over and over again. And so I know the professional way to answer. And I
Right.
know to say, like, well, I can't do that now, but how about this one or this one? You
Right.
know, just it gives it makes it seem like I'm being kind of flexible, but I'm really sort of getting what I want and, giving them a little bit of slack at the same time.
That person that did that to you sounds either like consume, play, blast, sleep, or sleep, blast, play, consume. It sounds like a DI thing to do.
It's just
And
a
also,
jerk. I don't
yeah,
know. Yeah,
yeah. Or consume and ask, didn't listen to you at all. I don't know. Um,
maybe.
all right, cool, Annie. So we'll wrap up the interview shortly. Do you have any last things that you want to touch on before we wrap this up? Or
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I feel really settled, and I think it's I kind of felt settled before I even found OPS, just because of the consume sleep. Like I've sort of introspected like so much that everything feels settled. But I've loved learning my type and like actually having a language for those parts, and observing other people and seeing like, oh wow, I'm caught up on this, but this other person isn't caught up on this. They're caught up on something completely different. So yeah, it has been very useful.
all right, awesome. Well, Annie, thanks for coming back to the channel and sharing more about your life, your story, and having the back and forth discussion on the whole type thing. I forgot to ask you about what's missing being a two, but I think you kind of touch on that during the
Yeah.
discussion already. So
Yeah, I wish I was a little bit more blaster and could, play the game a little better.
yeah. All right, cool. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Take care of yourself.
Yep.
And hope you feel better soon.
Thank you. All right.
All right, see you.
Bye.